Alright, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking each team's season so far at the halfway point. And yeah, if you like the video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Thanks. Alright, first I'm going to start with the first team up here, Nottingham Forest. I'd say they've had a good season so far. They had a rough start, but currently they're in 13th place with 20 points. I think this is good for them. You know, they just got promoted to the Premier League. Usually the teams that get promoted get relegated right back down, or are expected to anyway. So to be in 13th place is good. They're 5 points off the relegation zone. That's pretty good, you know. At the start of the season, their team wasn't gelling much. You know, they spent almost $200 million, and their team they brought in so many players that just didn't gel together, and they had no chemistry. But recently, their team they've stepped things up. Steve Cooper's doing well. They're in good form recently, and I think moving forward, I think they can expect to finish around 13th place, maybe move up to 12th, maybe move down to like 15th, but somewhere where they are right now, I think they'll finish in, and I think they won't get relegated. Alright, next up is West Ham. Relegation fodder. Easily relegation fodder. 18th place, 15 points. They are tied and they're only 1 point away from escaping, but still, absolutely abysmal season for them. The quality of their squad. They brought in Skamaka and Paqueta over the summer. Both amazing attacking players, and this team cannot score goals for their lives. David Moyes needs to go, in my opinion. This is just absolutely awful. The quality of their squad, they could easily be in the top 10, and somehow they have found themselves in 18th place and trying to escape relegation. Finish-wise, I think they finish in the relegation zone if they keep David Moyes. Maybe if they fire him, the new manager can climb them up out. I don't think they break the top 10 though, just because he won't have enough time to. But it's not a good season at all for West Ham. Next up is Bournemouth. I'd say things need to pick up a bit. You know, 17th place, 16 points, 1 point outside the relegation zone isn't great, but at least at the halfway point they're not in the relegation zone. Season wise, I mean, at the start they're awful. You know, they got battered 9-0 by Liverpool. Then they fired their manager, picked things up a little bit maybe. I don't, not great. It's good that they're not in the relegation. I think finish wise, they're probably gonna finish in the relegation zone, like 18th or 19th. But they have had some injury issues. You know, Solanke, one of their main strikers, has been out injured for a lot of the season, so that's not all entirely their fault. But I don't see them staying up this year. Next up is Aston Villa, currently 11th place with 25 points. They need to pick things up. Now, they're in good shape right now. They fired Gerrard at the start of the season, which was a good move because they sucked and they have a good squad. And hiring Emery has been a great choice so far. He's tightened them up defensively. They've shown some real promise. I think they'll definitely pick things up. I don't like it's not really a need to. I just think it will happen. But so far this season's not been great. Finish wise, I think they'll end up finishing ninth or 10th maybe. I don't think they climb too much just because of how awful a start they had, but they're not going to fall down the table. Emery's a good coach and he'll keep them up. Next up is Brentford, 8th place. Great season for Brentford, honestly. 29 points, 1 point away from 7th. This is a good season for them. They beat Liverpool, they beat City, they tied Chelsea, they beat Man United, they tied Tottenham. Only Big Six team that they've lost to is Arsenal, but Arsenal in first place. That's kind of expected. Very, very good season for them. Thomas Frank has done an absolutely amazing job with this squad. Ivan Toney's been playing very well. Their midfield's been playing very well. Raya's been playing well in net. All around, just great season for Brentford. 8th place is very good, better than their mid-table finish they had last season. This, like fans, this is like just great overall for them. I think they'll finish around here, especially for Liverpool and Chelsea having such terrible seasons. I think top 8 is achievable for Brentford. So I guess we'll see how that ends, but I think they'll get 8th place. Next up is Crystal Palace, mid. Crystal Palace is just the definition of mid. They're 12th place, 23 points. Every season they always finish mid-table. They, maybe pull a couple good results against good teams, but overall they're always mid. Their offense, hit or miss. Zaha and Olise and Eze are just not quite always fine. Sometimes they play really well, sometimes they just suck. Their defense is also shaky sometimes, but Vieira is a good head coach so far. Finish wise, they stay right around where they are. They're just a mid-table team. They won't fall down. They won't stay up. They're just mid. Next up is Chelsea. Season wise, major changes needed. Maybe even, yeah, I'll say major changes needed. 10th place, 28 points. Over the summer, they spent over $200 million on signings, and then gave their head coach Thomas Tuchel one game to prove himself, and then they sacked him. That was an absolutely awful decision. And then they paid $20 million for Graham Potter, who clearly has not done any better with this team as they're currently in 10th place. They have spent so much money and they have such a quality team except for their midfield, which is always injured for some reason, not that great. But the rest of the team is very good, and this is absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal season from Chelsea. They need to pick things up. This is unacceptable if you're a fan from the team. I think they will, as they've spent, I think, another $200 million just this January transfer window. So just the sheer number of players and money they've spent, they'll end up moving up the table, maybe to like sixth or seventh. They could stay here though. I don't know. They have not shown any good form recently. Absolutely awful season. Major changes are needed. Next up is Everton, 19th place, 15 points. Also relegation fodder. Least amount of number of wins in the Premier League. 3 wins from 19 games. That is awful. Frank Lampard needs to go. I mean, they have had injury issues. Their main striker, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, has been injured, and when he's not injured, he's not scoring goals. But Anthony Gordon also hasn't been playing well. I mean, they have good goalies, Jordan Pickford, good center back Connor Cody, but it's not. They just awful. I think they're going to finish in the relegation zone, 19th or 20th, because they have just sucked this year. All right, next up is Liverpool. They're ninth place, 28 points. They also need to pick things up. Liverpool at the start of the season, right? They would have been predicted a top two finish, first or second, depending on who you ask. But oh my goodness, ninth place. This is just an unbelievable season. Actually, I'm putting major changes needed. This is just an unbelievable season from them. Their midfield is so old and just not good at all. Henderson, Fabinho, Keita, Thiago. I mean, Keita and Thiago are always injured, but Fabinho and Henderson are not good at all. They have had some injury issues up front. Luis Diaz, Nunez recently, Jota, Firmino, but still, Trent can't defend. Virgil's way past his prime now, and they have not done well. As ninth place, that's unacceptable if you're a fan. You'd really expect to get in top two finish, but not for them this year. Finish wise, maybe they finish in the top seven. Honestly, they could probably stay eighth or ninth though if they keep doing what they're doing, because this has just not been a good season at all for them. All right, next up is Man City. This is mid. That's a low mid season for them. Second place, 42 points. That is good, right? That's a good season. But for City standards, that is not good at all. They have Erling Haaland, who has 22 goals, by the way, one of the most prolific and promising strikers in the game, and they are 5 points off of first place. That is, if how good City have been too, 4 titles in the last 5 years. To be in second place by that big with such a good striker, and the rest of the team is just as good. That is a pretty mid-season, you have to say. I wouldn't say need to pick things up because they can't really change too much. Although Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland haven't been in great form the past couple games, so I guess they can change that. But it's not a good season for them. Finish-wise, they stay second. They don't drop out of second, but they won't beat Arsenal in first place. Next up is Manchester United. High good season. And the only reason I say that is because their start was so awful. They had lost 4-0 to Brentford. They lost 2-1 to Brighton. They looked awful at the start of the season. And if they had not had that terrible start, they'd actually be in second place right now. But since the World Cup, they cut Ronaldo. They've been in amazing form. They have done very, very well. Rashford, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, they're just amazing. But Yeah, that's why it's just a high good season, just because that terrible start. I think they finished third or fourth. Newcastle could surpass them, but they'll be in the Champions League next year with the league finish. That's for sure. Next up is Fulham. Best possible outcome. Now, sixth place, 31 points. Sixth place. Wow, that's not really the best possible outcome for Fulham. I'd say it really is. They just got promoted. I think everyone would have expected them to just go right back down and get relegated again. But to be in sixth place, that is incredible. I don't think any Fulham fan would have dreamed of being in sixth place at the start of the season. They would have just been hoping to stay out of the relegation zone. So that sixth place is definitely the best possible outcome. Mitrovic has been scoring lots of goals and carrying their offense. Although Willian and the other winger, I'm forgetting his name right now, are also very good. Leno's been well in net. Robinson and Ream have been good in defense, the American duo there. Absolutely best possible outcome. I don't know if they stay in sixth in the finals. They might drop down a couple places. I guess we'll see how it goes. I think they finish top 10. I think they'll definitely have a top 10, which is still very, very good for a Fulham fan, considering that you probably would have expected to just get relegated back down again. So very best possible outcome season for Fulham. Next up is Southampton. Also relegation fodder. Honestly, they might not get relegated, even though they're last place right now with 15 points. It's things are kind of looking up. They have a young team, so it'd be very good for them to stay up because keep the young team with that Premier League experience. They did fire their head coach earlier in the season, so hopefully the new guy can turn things around for them. Right now, though, they might get relegated, honestly. But James Ward-Prowse, he scores a free kick every game, so that's a free goal. But if they can finally get these young guns, some experience, and then hammer things home, I think they could stay up. I think they either finish 18th, just inside the relegation zone, or 17th and just outside the relegation zone. Honestly, it'll be a close one for them, that's for sure. Next up is Brighton. Another great season. Seventh, actually, I'm just giving greater than Brentford's. Seventh place, 30 points. That's a really good season. Brighton have been usually a mid-table team the past couple of years, just barely, not really moving up. But this season, they've been very, especially the last couple of games. I mean, they a month into the season, they lost their head coach and his entire backroom staff, and they just easily replaced them and have done just as good as he was doing at the start of the season, if not even better than him. So to be in seventh place, that is very impressive. Over the summer they lost Cucurella, easily replaced him with a Stupinon. McAllister and Caicedo have been doing very well in the midfield. Sanchez and Dunk in the defense, very good season. Seventh place, that's a great season. Not necessarily the best possible outcome, but definitely a great, great season for Brighton. I think they finish in top seven. Honestly, I think they stay up here. They have shown so much promise, scored so many goals. Like that Arsenal game, they were down 3-0 and then brought it back to 4-2. Even though they didn't win, they still showed the tenacity that they can come back and they won't give up and quit in games. So that just great season overall from Brighton. Next up is Arsenal. Easily the best possible outcome. Like number one, they're in first place, 47 points. No one would have expected this from Arsenal. Start of the season, Arsenal fans probably would have said we want Champions League football again, and that would have been a good target. Jesus and Zinchenko have been some super signings that have changed this team. Especially Zinchenko, the way left back he just cuts in the midfield and acts like another midfielder. It's just incredible. I mean, to be first place, Arsenal have looked absolutely incredible. The entire starting 11. Saka, Martinelli, and Ketia replacing Jesus after his injury at the World Cup. Odegaard, Xhaka, Partey, they've just all been playing amazing. Finish wise, I think they stay first place. I don't think they choke this lead. 5 points plus a game in hand on second place City. They will finish this league in first. Mark my words. Next up is Leeds. They need to pick things up a bit, 14th place, 17 points. 2 points outside the relegation zone isn't stellar, But Jesse Marsh, even though their team can't defend at all, they score lots of goals, and that's a good thing. They're showing, they're a high pressing team, lots of energy. It's very good football. Sometimes they're showing glimpses, anyways. They beat Liverpool in the season. That was a good match for them. They have, still hit or miss. They're only in 14th place, but
They've shown promise, and I think they'll stay up. Finish-wise, probably around 14th, honestly. I hope just avoid relegation, and then in the summer, big reinforcements are needed. They need a striker badly. Bamford is not what he used to be, and he's really injury prone. Rodrigo's not quite a striker, you know. I think he's more of an attacking midfielder type player. Although he's done very well at the striker role, replacing Bamford. But still, I think Leeds need a new striker in the summer. But yeah, I think they'll end up staying up around 14th place. Next up is Leicester. Major changes needed at Leicester. 15th place, 17 points, also 2 points outside the relegation zone. 2 years ago, they were in 5th place. Now they're in 15th. This is an absolute disaster class from Brendan Rodgers. I don't think he needs to go because he's a good manager, but they need some major changes at that football club. Because, I mean, especially a striker, right? Vardy's old and not what he used to be. Daka and Iheanacho are not good enough to play striker there. Madison has been out injured, but he's just one player. Tielemans has also been having a killer season, and they're still only in 15th place. Their defense is not good at all. 33 goals conceded. It's just 12 losses. That is not good at all. Finish wise, they could, if things stay as they are, they could end up being like 16th maybe. I don't think they really rise much. They probably stay again 15th or 16th place. Next up is Newcastle. Absolutely great season for Newcastle. 4th place, 38 points, killer season. I mean, 11 goals conceded, by the way, the fewest number of any team in the league. Tied for the least number of losses with Arsenal with 1. Absolutely amazing season. Eddie Howe has transformed this team. Last year, I think they had about 1 win and were in 20 last place at this time last season. So to be in 4th place is absolutely incredible. I mean, this season they have barely played with Isak, their record signing, and they're still in 4th place. It would be amazing to see what he does to this team now that he's back from injury. This season, Bruno Guimaraes has been critical in that midfield. Their defense, least goals conceded, Trippier, Botman, Byrne, Pope, absolutely amazing in that defense. And the offense too. Miggy Almiron, Callum Wilson, Alan St. Maximin. It's just been a great season. I don't think Newcastle fans would have expected to be in 4th. This is not quite best. I'd probably say top 2 would have been the best possible outcome. But this is amazing football from Eddie Howe. And I think finish-wise, 3rd or 4th. United and them could switch, but they'll be in the Champions League next year for sure. All right, 2 teams left. We've got Tottenham. They're in 5th place with 33 points. I'd say a good season. This might be a little, controversial, I guess. 5th place, 33 points. I think a lot of Tottenham fans would have expected to, be in a Champions League spot. But if you look at how United, Newcastle, City, and Arsenal have done, 5th place is pretty good for them, especially their form in the last 5 games. Tottenham have not been playing well at all. 5th place is a good expectation, I think. I don't know if they're going to end up staying here. I mean, Richarlison over the summer, he was a good signing. Hasn't made quite the impact they wanted. They have a good offense, with Kulusevski. Sons hasn't been playing well, but he's a good player. And Kane has been carrying this team. They're an absolute second half team, but they need a new goalie. Lloris is absolutely awful. He can't play goalie anymore. They need some sort of new goalie. I think maybe they finish 5th. They could drop to 6th or 7th if they keep playing like the way they've played over the last 5 games. But not a 5th place. I think is a good target for Spurs fans. Not really going to make Champions League, but anything outside the top 7, I think would definitely be a disappointing season. Last up is Wolves. High. I think I'm gonna say high major changes needed. 16th place, 17 points. This team can't score goals for their lives. They just cannot score goals. They've scored 12 goals this season. I mean, Adama Traore does know how to shoot. Raul Jimenez, I mean, he fractured his skull and has not been the same striker since. Podence, Neto haven't been amazing this season. Unfortunately, that striker they signed over the summer tore his ACL in his debut, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, if you look at their midfield, Ruben Neves, Matinho, Nunez, they're all good, solid midfield, and they have a good defense too. Saw's a good goalie. Kilman's a good defender. Like it's just they definitely need some major. They already changed their head coach, and they have picked up things a little bit under this new guy. So, the, I think they will end up improving a little bit. Maybe they stay like up to 14th, but the bottom seven, I think, yeah, bottom. There's 5 points between the bottom seven. A lot can change there. Climbing outside of 13th place, I don't know if that's possible for them. But I don't think they're not going to get it relegated. Finish wise, I'll say 14th ish. Just because, yeah, they're picking things up. They got a good midfield. 14th is just a good target. All right. This has been my ranking of all 20 teams in the Premier League at the mid-season so far. I hope you all enjoy. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Bye.